Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And a couple of weeks ago, I'd done the review for the 2023 film Missing, which I just watched, I think the same day, and loved that movie quite a lot. The original, I would say the first movie in this kind of similar themed movie, similar style movie is actually better. It's Searching from 2018, and I just watched it for the second time, and it is, I think, one of my favorite films from the last maybe like 10 years or so. It definitely is really up there. I read it quite a lot. Searching is a 2018 American, it's called Screen Life Mystery thriller film directed by Changa, Anish Changadi. He is, of course, I think Karnataka or maybe Andhra Indian American. And the movie stars John Cho, who's a dad, a widowed father who is searching for his missing 16-year-old daughter Michelle La, played by Michelle La, sorry, and he's got the help of a police detective, a decorated police detective played by Deborah Messing. This was also the first kind of like mainstream Hollywood movie to be headlined by an Asian American actor, and it has taken all this time, 2018 for actually that to happen. I hope that we get a lot more, and of course with Indians as well, Indian Americans and Indian Canadians also, and Indian Brits. Why stop over there? Also doing all of them. So Deborah Messing plays Detective Sergeant Rosemary Vick. John Cho plays David Kim, and his daughter Margot Kim is played by Michelle La. So we learn from videos and images that Margot's mom, Pamela, was a loving mother and loving wife. Unfortunately, she got cancer, and even though it went into remission initially, she did eventually succumb to it. So a couple of years before the events of this film, Margot definitely misses her quite a lot. So what happens is she's been she goes missing one day. She was supposed to have gone for a late, a study group that went on for long, and then she's missing. She did try 3 times to call her father, but after that, he was sleeping at the time. David was sleeping, and then when he woke up, he tried to call her back, but the phone is there. Phone is switched off, and then he finds out a lot of things. He finds out that Margot has been, not been going for her piano classes. She's been taking the money and putting it as depositing it in an account, and then she Venmoed it to herself, to take it out in cash, around $2,500, I believe, and she also apparently has been chatting with somebody called Fish and Chips, a young woman whose mother is supposed to be also suffering from a very similar disease that took Margot's mother. And from the investigations, which Detective Rosemary Vick comes in, they find out that she's really become a loner. David is actually sad to know that she doesn't really have too many friends for the last couple of years. She kind of keeps to herself. Most people don't even know what things she goes. She's got a couple of study friends, but that's kind of it. And she finds out that she's not been going to the piano instructors classes, and then they find, through the investigation, it comes out that she is actually, it looked like she may have run away. David can't believe it. He and his brother are trying to find everything possible. There's even suspicion of the brother at one particular point, but then he admits that they were not doing anything else other than the fact that they were both, when she wanted to talk, she was depressed, she would go to him, and he used to get her weed, because he didn't want her to get marijuana from other people. So instead, a lot more safer to have her loving uncle give her some, and I don't really know about that, but they were definitely smoking together. Finally, David is able to find this, using her Tumblr page, he's able to find a particular spot near near a lake, where she apparently loved. So he tracks her down that particular point, and he finds her keys to her car, and then we find out that the car is underwater, but they can't find her. They do find some cash, and that's when it seems like maybe she he didn't drown, but they can't find the body anywhere. And then finally, Detective Vic tells him that there's a man who, a former, a former criminal who's supposed to have been reformed. He actually an ex-convict named Randy. He confessed to raping and killing Margot before he committed suicide, which is the suicide part is shot on tape. So they definitely it's a funeral is arranged for Margot with a live stream for friends and people who really want to see her. They pay their final respects. It's an empty casket funeral, and David is absolutely devastated. He feels like he's let down both his wife and his daughter, and he's uploading photos to the funeral site when he finds that the stock footage of photograph that they have for their funeral is the same woman as the fish and chips profile. So he finds the model and discovers that she's just a stock model, and she does not know Margot. She doesn't have a mother who is sick, and the cops never called her. However, Vic said that she actually called and spoke to her, and she was actually in Philadelphia working at a restaurant or a diner or something like that. So, how could that be if somebody's lying? So he speaks to the he calls up 911, trying to speak to Vic, but he gets a dispatcher, and through chance he finds out that Detective Vic, who told him that she was assigned the case, found out that she actually volunteered to get the case. So David doesn't really know what's happening. He Googles Vic and finds the killer. The so-called killer is actually, they both knew each other through a volunteer group for ex-convicts, and so he knows that there is something up, and he confronts Vic at the funeral. He tells this to the chief of police. The cops come in and they arrest Vic, and then we get the twist. The amazing twist is that she was using the fake alias Fish and Chips. Sorry, her son was using the fake alias Fish and Chips because he had a crush on Margot. He made up the story about being this woman, being this young lady of 20 who had similar, whose mother is going through similar cases, and that she needs money. Although he didn't actually want her to give money, Margot, being the soft-hearted, kind person that she was, affected by the death of her mother, she saves that money for the past 6 months. It comes to around 2,500, and she Venmos it to the Fish and Chips' account. Tries to give it to her, and then Robert, who is Vic's son, feels very guilty, so he goes to tell her one night when she's relaxing at the lake. So she gets scared and she runs away from him. He tries to go behind her, and then she pushes him back. So he gets angry and he pushes her, and then she goes off a cliff down a 50-foot ravine, deep ravine, and he thinks she's dead. So he calls his mother. Rosemary Vic pushes the car inside. She leaves the key. She forgets the key. So she does this cover up just to save her son, making it seem that she initially ran away. Unfortunately, when the car was found, she put the patsy up for sacrifice, basically putting the ex-victim, giving him some drugs, and then making him do a false confession, and then killing him. So she admits to all of this in exchange for leniency for her son, and then they go back, and it hasn't been that many days. It's only been like 5 or 6 days since this happened. So they go back to the lake, and they find Margot at the bottom. She on the third day, while she was stuck there, deeply injured, it had rained, so she managed to get some water and keep herself alive. But it has been about 5 days. So she did survive. The rescue team goes down, they find her badly injured, but she's alive. And then, she's reunited with the dad. 2 years pass by. Margot has now applied for college, and she's learning music, especially piano. And she and her dad reconnect. They have a much more better relationship now that all this has happened, and you can see relationship is much more stronger, and it ends that way. Brilliant film. I absolutely love it. It's kind of gone. And it has been a successful movie. The movie actually was made on a budget of just $880,000. Wow! But it made 75.6 million at the box office, thereby leading to the sequel, kind of sequel, standalone sequel is what you can call it. I absolutely love this movie. I love the acting of John Cho and Deborah Messing. Both of them are amazing in this film. Although to be fair, I can't really see Deborah Messing as a villainess. But she's not really villainous, but she was desperate and she's trying to save her son. But she ends up being the villain of the piece. I always know her as villain Grace. And John Cho, of course, Hikaru Sulu in the Kelvinverse movies. I loved him in the Harold Kumar trilogy movies as well. So, and of course in quite a few other things. So, good actors. I think this is their probably John Cho's best acting and probably Deborah Messing's best acting as well. Amazing. And the cute, young, lovely lady who plays Margot, Michelle, absolutely fantastic. She makes you feel a lot of empathy and sadness for her character as well. I think it was really well done. I will give this movie, for what it is, for that budget, I think I should give it a 9 out of 10. I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10, close to a 9, I guess. I'm a little confused as to where I should go, but I really love this movie a lot. And it's one worth watching multiple times. As is Missing as well, but I think this one is way better. Thank you guys. That will be for me for tonight. Take care. Have a good night.